Passion. I'm a marketing student and a current intern at Unilever. In my free time, I like to look into ways to develop my personal brand, work on myself, and become a better speaker and a better professional when it comes to marketing. And in today's video, we're going to be looking at some of the ways that work for me, and it's also proven to make you a better listener. So let's get into it. Being a good listener means you need to make people feel heard and understood. So you might already think that whenever I'm having a conversation, I do nod, say and also paraphrase and repeat whatever I'm hearing. But a lot of the times, that's not enough. So it all begins with stop being a sponge. You're not here to absorb the information that is being thrown at you. Rather be an active person. So with that being said, you need to be adding acceleration, height, energy, and amplification to your tonality. Now, to identify where you're going wrong, ask yourself, how do I usually listen? So people usually have different types or modes of listening to others. You're either an analytical listener, you are task-oriented, so you're focused on efficiency. If you're working in corporate, you might probably practice that more, so it just comes off naturally to you. And other times you might be a relational listener, you might be a judgmental or a critique. So instead of being emotionally supportive to someone, you are rather putting more effort into proving what they're saying is wrong or proving they're invalidating them. So that might make them feel dismissed and invalidated. So the next time you're having a conversation, instead of being the person that's listening to reply, be the person who focuses on what the speaker needs to hear instead of what you want to say. Sharing your own personal stories could add validation or build connections through communication. But a lot of the times, make sure that you're not making the conversation turn out to be just focused on you, or it turns into how you navigated the same problem. Try to focus on how much information you're sharing. It doesn't have to be too much, just as much to make the other person or to make the speaker feel comfortable. Now let's look at an example. So a group mate comes up to you or a colleague comes up to you and they have their first presentation. They're sharing to you, oh, hey Jack, I'm just so nervous and scared and worried about my presentation today because I haven't done it in a while or it's my first time. Instead of saying like, oh, I've been doing it for a while and eventually I got better at it and you'll be fine, you're kind of invalidating and dismissing their original problem. So instead of saying that, what you could do is just be more validating. So here's what you can say. I was worried too at the beginning. What's worrying you? So you're throwing in a conversation that lets them share more about what exactly scares them. So that builds that connection and rapport to trust you more and be more vulnerable in your presence. Okay, so in another event, let's say a colleague comes up to you and he made a report that he's going to present in the next meeting, or he's going to share it with his boss. So he just wants you to kind of look at it and give you feedback or give him feedback, right? So you look at the report and you realize that there's a lot of problems. There's issues with the analysis, there's issues with the numbers. So instead of being like, this report is complete BS, you could definitely tell him in a more respectful manner where you're taking into consideration his nervousness or the effort that he put into his first report. But then you're also saying, here's how I would do it. Here's what I would say. Here, the numbers are not correct. So instead of saying that, just be like, oh, have you noticed that these numbers are actually not the original ones, or the recommendation you made, I would rather say this. So that would make them feel, oh, like snap, I've done that wrong. I completely didn't notice it. So they would be thankful that you noticed it and you cared about their report. But at the same time, you're not making them feel less of who they are or the value that they added to the work. Now let's get to the third point, which is, am I getting in my own way? A lot of the times when we're having a conversation, we notice that our internal monologue gets in the way. We become more focused in, am I saying the right thing? Am I acting the right way? Do I have a proper facial expression? So when you're focused more in how you come off as an individual, you're not really listening to the other person. You're just focused about judging yourself or how the other person's judging you. So with time, kind of work on quieting that internal monologue and focus more on concentrating in the person. And a good way to do that is listening to more podcasts and watching more videos. And when you do so, pause the video, pause the podcast, and talk back to that person that they're having a conversation with. Because usually in a podcast, there's like two people, right? They're talking back and forward. Try to be the interviewer and have a conversation that flows naturally. Another way you could do that is talking into a mirror. You come up with the topic and you talk to yourself. You act like you're one person and you're talking to the person in the mirror, and that person's giving you back the feedback. So this first point is focused more on leadership skills and how active listening skills transfer into your leadership roles and how much you would need them in the future. So they say that if you're a leader and if you go into a room and you see that all of your people are smiling, they're fine, and you're like, oh wow, like they're doing amazing, chances are you're not a great leader because you're not giving the space for your employees to open up to you, come back to you and with feedback, because they usually don't want to do that. They don't want to come off as someone that needs help, that needs attention or approval. So to see through those nonverbal cues, see through that they're not comfortable, and kind of navigating the conversations with them without any agenda, judgment, or distraction, and actively seeking inputs from all levels and ranks will help you become a better leader and analyze what's happening to your team. So let's say you're a student. One of the best ways you can apply these skills or already get started at practicing it is through being a leader in your group work. If you're a marketing student, you probably have like a couple of group works or assignments. So in those assignments, take the lead, see what it's like. Not maybe many people want to do it these days. I see it even in my classes. I'm usually the one scheduling a meeting, seeing everyone's availability, talking about their strengths and identifying them and how we can utilize them in the different roles we have in the group. So if someone's good in presenting, we would assign more parts or the difficult parts in the presentation to that person. And someone's better at research, I'd usually give them the parts that involves more research and hard work in terms of looking up stuff or typing, or if writing is their strength, I give more of that to them. All right, that is it, you guys. Please comment down below what are some skills or your upcoming personal goals that you want to reach by the end of this year so that I can talk about those in my future videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.